evening everyone, welcome to Daily News Analysis by Tathastu ICS. I am Manisha here to discuss the Hindu newspaper for the day 3rd March 2026. You will get this PDF in the description box, as well as you can scan our QR code and join our Telegram channel for the regular updates. Okay? So we will be going for the topics. Okay? I have brought you 5 topics for the day. So the first one is about India-Canada uranium deal. Okay, so we are going to see it in the GS3 paper. Okay, and also in the GS2 paper in the IR aspect, because Canada and India's ties were earlier it was very strained. Okay, right now it is going good. So we are going to see how we are going to make use of this. So in that case, we are going to see GS2 paper. Okay, in the IR perspective, the international ties. Okay, and in the GS3 paper, the uranium deal is about to strengthen our domestic. So it is to strengthen our the domestic nuclear for the civil purpose. We are going to get the uranium for the nuclear power. Okay. So in that case, we are going to see how it is going to help India. Okay. Then the second one is about India of industrial index of industrial production. So we have got a data. It is showing that there is a slowdown. What is GS? General studies. Okay. So GS is nothing but general studies. Ma'am, did you did not it? It is not relevant, Hussain. It is not relevant right now. Okay. So the index of industrial production. Here we got the data that certain sectors of India have been slowed down. So the growth has been slowed down. We will be seeing what are all those sectors and also many other things. Okay. So it is important for us again in the GS3 paper, which is general studies. Okay, in the economical factor we are going to see it. Okay, then the third one is about the fiscal targets. So the updates in the GST regime and also the base year for the GDP calculations and everything that we are going to see. Okay, so in this case it is important for us again in the GS3 paper, which relates with the economy mostly. Okay. Then the fourth one is about the unipolar West Asia. We know the Iran and Iran against Israel and US war that is going on, right? So we are going to see what is the unipolar West Asia. The editorial is basically on this unipolar West Asia. We will be seeing what is the what is the whole concern about it and what is the major issue that triggered this war and everything, because there was a dialogue was going on. All of a sudden in between of the dialogue, why there was a cause of war. So that we are going to see and we are going to analyze it here. Then the fifth one and the last one would be NAT blood transfusion. So the nucleic acid test, which is very important and which shows the more accurate things about the diseases. Okay. So Supreme Court have going to look into it about this test, and we will be seeing what is the core cause of it. Okay. Here how it is related with Article 21, the right to life. Okay, so all these things are we are going to see here. It is about the Article 21, so it is important for us in the GS2 paper. Okay, and also the NAT, the nucleic acid test, is based upon a methodology of the blood test, right? So in that case, for identifying the diseases, we are just going to see in the perspective of GS3 also. We may expect a question. There is a possibility how the medicines are going to, like how these fundamental rights, okay, and the intervention of the constitutional body will be helping attaining a public health care and all these things. So in that case, it is important for us. Okay. So Tathastu is bringing you certain courses like BA plus UPSC program. If you would like to become an bureaucrat at your very young age, you can integrate your UPSC preparation and also your graduation course. So for that you can opt for BA plus UPSC, and it's the career options never been limited. So you can opt for BA plus banking also if you would like to step in the banking sectors. And the Parthasarathy mentorship we are bringing in for 19th March, that will be helping you to get a structured and detailed customized mentorship program. Okay, that will help you with the real time mentorship sessions, and also it will help you to get the more of a outcome. Okay. Then the PSR optional that we are starting from 20th of April. If you are willing to join PS Higher optional, you can opt for Tathastu. Okay, good evening, Avya. Moving on to the first article, the Canada Inc. uranium deal as 𝐶𝐚 meets Modi. So, 𝐶𝐚 have visited India. Okay. So, the talks were going on in the multiple directions. We are going to see one by one. So, first, why it is in the headlines, why it is in the front page if you see, because of the tense ties between the Canada and India when it comes to the Nijar. Okay, Nijar killing. Nijar is a person who was a head of the Khalistan protest in the Canada, and he have killed. Okay, the Canadian people have suspected that India has also ties in that. India's involvement was also there, but we have denied it completely. Like, see, there is no hand of India in that. It is completely of a separate thing. Okay. So now after that tensions, the trades have been stopped, the diplomat talks have been stopped. There was no proper or there was no smooth ties between India and Canada. There was, everything was a pause. Okay. So there was a tensions also. But now to revoke those tensions and also to bring back that positive relationship, now India and Canada have started with the uranium deal. So if you see why uranium is very important for India in certain aspects. Okay. Okay. So the first aspect is about India. India is basically for the energy, India is basically depend upon what? Fossil fuels, right? So to come out of the fossil fuels, that is, which is non-renewable resource. So we should have a complete and sustainable and a reliable source of energy, right? So there will be constant supply should be there. There should be no disturbances in the supply of the energy. So we are going towards more renewable. Okay, so that is uranium, which is nuclear energy that we are going to focus on. The second aspect is, it is very important for India to go with the nuclear energy for nuclear power for the civilian purpose, where we can emit the carbon emission in a higher ranges. So we are moving towards the cleaner energy, where we have promised, or we are moving towards more of a cleaner energy in the global wise. Okay. So in these two aspects, uranium is very important for us, and India does, see, again the India's pattern about the foreign policy or any other trade is about, right now is about completely of bifurcation. Okay. We are not going to depend on any one country. Instead, we are going to have a multiple baskets for every product. Like uranium, we are just going to focus on whom? Canada. Already we have with many countries. Okay. So all these things are going to strengthen India's diplomacy. Okay, the strategic autonomy that we will be having, so that we will not be depending upon one particular country. The disturbances among the world will be giving us the opportunity to get the other basket, get from the other baskets. Okay, if I am having any issue with one of my uranium supplier, I can go to Canada. Canada is already available there, right? So I don't want to get tensed about my energy security. Instead, I can go and get from my another basket, that is Canada. Okay. So right now the whole article is about the meeting, about the uranium deal, and also the CPA also that we are going to see. Okay. So that is what from this article. So we will see one by one. Okay. So we saw the background, how the India and Canada ties were, right? Now the uranium deal, it will be for 10 years. Okay, for 10 years the uranium supply is going to given by the Canada to India. So there is a supply agreement, and Canada will supply uranium to fuel Indian nuclear power reactors. So where we are just focusing upon the civilian purpose for the nuclear power. Okay. So this uranium will be getting these uranium will be used in our India's nuclear power for the civilian purposes, right? First thing. Second thing, Canada has a largest, in the world they have the best nuclear power technology. So if we get uranium, it may extend, it will be extending to a very positive sign of getting those technologies also. So we will be getting the technology, as well as we will be getting the fund from the international forum, where we will be focusing on moving to the cleaner energy. Okay, so it is a win-win situation for India. Okay. Then it strengthens India's civil nuclear energy program that we have discussed, what it is actually going to possess. Okay. Then, so if we see the import pattern of India, okay, so India imports uranium, okay, which is domestically it is very limited. So in India, the uranium availability is very limited. We don't have much. So what is the basic thing for this? India is going to import it from different baskets. Okay, one among the basket is going to be Canada. In this case, we will be getting two things. One, we are getting uranium, and we are getting a extended better relationship with Canada. Okay. Then the nuclear power for clean energy goals, right? This we have discussed why it is important for India to have this nuclear energy, right? Then the stable fuel supply. So if there is any disruption, we don't want to worry about it. And Canada is a strong country, okay, where we can rely on the stable supply of this uranium. If there is any disruption also, there won't be any problems in getting the supply from Canada. Okay? So it is a stable fuel supply. From this deal, one more thing is that we are just going to rebuild the trust. So we will be getting ahead the trusted partnership tag in the global level. Okay, so getting a trusted partnership label, okay, from a higher economic or a high positioned country, it is very important for India, so that we will be getting lot of opportunities to host any meetings, or we will be having a member position in global forum. So for that also it is important for being a trusted partners. Okay. So when we talk about the Canada, largest uranium producers, right? First thing, advanced nuclear technology we have discussed, and also the strategic partnership in energy. So we will be getting more of a technology from them, and we would be able to go for more strategic partnership. Okay. Then there is a talks about CEPA also, so that we will be reducing the carbon, okay, and also the bilateral trade will be doubled by 2030, and also the multilateral cooperation will be taken care of. Okay, so this is the major impact on India when it comes to this deal. Okay, moving on, we will be seeing some more brief about this. Okay, so if we see what is CEPA, we know India's pattern of foreign policy right now in the most of, when it comes to trade, it is FTA, free trade agreements, right? So one of the type is CEPA, Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. So what we are going to do, we are going to have a tariff relaxation on goods, services, and the investment flows, also intellectual properties, okay, like copyrights, patents and everything, and the digital trade. So all these things we are going to have a negotiations where the tariffs or the things will be very less. Okay. Then the lower tariffs. How come it is going to benefit India? There will be a less tariff, and there will be lot of imports. We would be able to export lot of things. So if you see India and Canada ties, Canada exports cereals pulses to India, okay, and India will be exporting its IT services and also pharmaceutical services. All these things are being exported to Canada. So we have the larger opportunity for exporting the services here, because it's about goods, services and investment flows, and also the intellectual property, right? So more we will be getting opportunity to give the more exports, okay, and also to boost bilateral investment. So here the technologies, the softwares and also the foreign direct investment also may be possible because of this. So this is the trade agreement. Okay, I'll change the color here for you. Okay, so this is the trade agreement, and this is going to be the outcome of it. So there will be less tariffs and increased exports, and also to boost the bilateral investment. Okay, clear till now? Shall we move further? So the next is about the economic ties with India, which we talked about right now. India exports pharmaceutical, textiles and IT sectors, IT sector services. Here Canada will be giving the lentils, potash and uranium which we are talking about right now. Okay. Then, so if we see the favorable side of India, okay, first thing is about energy security. So we don't want to rely more on fossil fuels. We can move for the cleaner energy also. So there will be a constant supply of energy and greener energy also. So the first thing is about the energy security, and the second thing is about the clean energy transition. The more of we are getting the technology for nuclear reactors, we will be getting more of clean energy, like we can move from those carbon emitting methodologies. Okay. Then the third one is about the strategic excuse me, strategic diversification. Okay, the multiple countries for one particular good or service, so that we don't want to have a dependency on any country. Thereby, we will be having a strategic autonomy. Okay, this is more important for India. See, we will be discussing this part in the Iran war also. We will be talking about that. Keep that in mind. Okay. Then the next one is about the climate diplomacy. So, by getting this technology, we may get lot of relaxations when it comes to US deal. What we saw there, it was the US deals and EU deal. It is completely of the relaxation from the carbon emitting. The steel industry, the cement industry, we get a maximum relaxation in the tariff, right? So, these kind of initiatives, when we are planning for moving towards more of a cleaner energy, we will be getting the technology and also the trade and also the relaxed tariff for these things, for which enables the growth also, which will extend the possibilities of getting more tariff, the relaxation in the tariff. Okay. So, that is what from this article. Okay. Nothing much. The in depth, if we after some time we will be getting more details about the agreement. Okay. So, let us move on to the next. I think it is clear till now, right? Okay. The next one is about IIP growth in January slows down to 4.8. So, this is a very huge concern, where right now we are seeing the consumption is also have slowed down, and also the growth is also being slowed down in the manufacturing sectors. Okay. So, we will be seeing what is IIP. IIP is the index, okay, index of industrial products. Okay. So, this shows the growth of industrial activity in India. So, the industrial activity, how it is performing, whether it is growing, whether it is slowing down, or if there is any stagnation. So, all these things will be, we would be able to get the inferences from what? II. Okay. So, it has the sectors of manufacturing, mining and electricity. So, these are the major sectors that will be revealing the growth and the performances. Okay. Then when it comes to the 2026 January, it was like there was a slowdown, okay, growth. Right now it is 4.8%. Earlier it was 7.8 in the December 2025. So, within 2 months we are able to see there is a significant slowdown, right? From 7.8 to 4.8 we would be able to see the differences, right? Then other thing is about the manufacturing sector. From in the January 2025 it is 5.8, okay. Then in the December it was 8.4. It was a huge growth was there, but instantly we got the change of 4.8%, which is in the January 2026. Okay, there is a slowdown from 8.42, we got it for 4.8%. Okay, and mining also it went for 4.3%, and the electricity it is around 6.9% to 5.1%. So, everywhere we would be able to see, okay, everywhere we would be able to see the slowdown of the growth, right? But in the infrastructure sector alone, we got a very good numbers. There is still there is a continuous growth in the infrastructure sector. Otherwise, there is no other growth in the industrial sectors. Okay, in the industrial activities, we are getting a complete slowdown other than infrastructure, because Indian government is also majorly focusing on infrastructure, which will be enabling the growth, right? But the major concern here is infrastructure sector will not operate alone. There will be some elements and the sectors which will be complementing it, right? Electricity, the manufacturing, the mining. So, all these are interlinked, okay. So, the manufacturing sector, if I am building a bridge, okay, the cement manufacturing sector or else the iron and steel manufacturing sector have to be strengthened, right, so that it will be complementing my infrastructure as well. So, the one side or the biased growth of one particular sector will not be helping. It has to be a inclusive growth. be it anything, okay, industrial sector or any human resource, be it anything, there should be a inclusive growth. That would be the positive one. Okay. So if we see the industrial infrastructure's growth, it is around 13.7%, which is very constant and it is in a steady manner. Okay. So if you see, IIP will be dividing the goods based on its types. Okay. So one is the capital goods. Okay. The capital goods is nothing but the major components. Okay. So they have a slowdown of from 10.1% to they have moved to what, 4.3%, and the index shows that consumers durables also have went down for 6.3%. Earlier it was 12. So almost half of the way we have slowed down. And FMGC, the non durable goods, okay, the daily usage goods, FMGC goods have gone to 2.7%. Okay. So other than infrastructure, every sector has gone slow down. Okay. So the capital goods slowdown is leading to investment slowing. So if there is any slowdown in the capital goods, what it will be impacting on? It will be impacting on the investment slowing down. Okay. Then, so it shows the slower consumption of FMGC, which is the non durable goods. Okay. So that will eventually lead to what? Weak consumption. So if there is no proper consumption, we will be going with the slower economic growth also, right? So that is what the major concern that have been mentioned here. Just have a go through about it. This article is a data point for your mains. Okay, you can use this data in your mains answer, where to give the infrastructure is being very stable in India. Otherwise, the other manufacturing sectors, mining sectors, electricity sector are going facing a slowdown in their performances. Okay, so this will be useful for your mains perspective more than the prelims perspective. Okay, so moving on to the next topic, which is the fiscal targets, where they have discussed about the more of the new data series will be giving a very reliable and a true data outcome. Okay, so this article is basically on what we have discussed yesterday, the new regime, the data regime for this GDP calculation. Okay, so earlier the base year was, the article is stating that earlier the base year was what, 2011 to 12, now it have changed to 2022 to 23. We know the reason. As the economy evolves, we have to move the data also. We have to give, have a reliable and a real base year, okay, from which we would be able to understand whether there is a growth or whether there is a slowdown, or where we have to concentrate more. Okay, for that base year is very important. Now we have changed the first thing. And when it comes to the second thing, the methods of calculating GDP also have been improved. There is a new technology, new methodologies, new improvements have been brought in the calculation of GDP. Okay. Then new and better data sources. So when it comes to new and better data sources, it shows here, I think it is visible for everybody. Okay. So the annual survey of unincorporated sector enterprises and also the periodic labor force survey. So these are the most of a reliable sources where we are going to get the data from. So the improved data also we will be getting from improved sources. Okay. The adoption of the double deflator approach, which accounts for the effect of inflation separately for intermediate goods, and the final product is marked in improvement in the terms of ascertaining the real value added of India's production. So here they are trying to say that, okay, so there will be a different calculation. Okay, thank you, Murali. Okay. So here they have discussed that there will be a separate, okay, there will be a separate calculation of inflation for what? Intermediate goods. Intermediate goods are such goods where Vishal, again this is not appreciable. Okay, every time you used to spam the chat box, at least now I think you will not be doing it. Okay, Vishal, please don't spam the chat box. Okay, so the intermediate goods are those goods which are actually Vishal, Can you please stop spamming the chat box? Okay. So the intermediate goods are such goods where if I am manufacturing a car, okay, the bolt is very important, right? Okay. For the wheels, the aluminium, right, and also for the car seats, I need the leather or any other material, right? So these are kind of, okay, intermediate goods where for getting the final output, okay. So getting the final output of those, for getting those final output of the goods, we need those goods supplement also, like for the fan, okay, we need only, fan will not be having only wings, right, it need the copper coil also. So that is also very important, okay. So that is what intermediate goods, and also the final product. So there will be separate inflation will be calculated for intermediate goods and the final product. There we would be able to see that where is the real growth and where we have to concentrate more, okay. And moving on, okay, now we have talked about the methods of calculating GDP, right. Then also new and better data sources that we have talked about, 𝐀𝐧𝐝𝐻 and also periodic labor force survey, right. Then the next thing is about the double deflator method, where there will be a separate adjustments in the inflation, okay, and also the intermediate, for the intermediate goods and also the final goods which we discussed right now, okay. Then the real value added. So we getting from, see, by getting this double deflator, we would be able to understand there won't be any two different inflational calculations. So see, for manufacturing a car, I need bolt also, I need the aluminium also, right. Already if I am purchasing aluminium and if I am paying taxes or any other inflation is been included in that, okay, at that time when I am getting the final good, when I am getting the car also, this also will be added to that. So what will I able to understand? The car manufacturing sectors are growing, or do I want to focus more on the intermediate goods growth, right. So there is a different calculation. So the inflation will be calculated here and also here, so that we will be getting the real value added. You are getting it? Fine here? Okay. Then see, nothing too complicate here. It is simple that for getting this pencil, okay, imagine this as a pencil. So this pencil will be having lead inside, right. The wood also will be there. The compressed one will become the pencil. So the separate amount for that lead inside and wood, it will be a separate inflation, right. There will be separate cost. As a pencil, I will be getting a separate cost, right. So those, there will be two different calculations for that wood and lead and also for the final product. So we would be able to see the real outcome, okay. So that's it. Then, so what we are able to see here is by adjusting this GST base year, sorry, GDP base year, we are able to get the better sectoral allocation, okay. There is a multi-sector companies, okay, and there will be, it is not about one particular company, there will be multi sectors, okay. Okay, okay, no, not an issue. The major concern is about like I may miss certain questions or any doubts of you people. That is the thing. Otherwise, it is fine, Avya. Thank you. Okay. So the output divided proportionality will be there. Okay. And also the increased sector wise accuracy. So we would be able to see most of the clear, accurate growth of each and every sector. Okay. Then when it comes to the better data sources, what we have saw, the ASUSE and also periodic labor force survey and the GST data, all these things will be complementing our the proper clear data. So we would be able to understand the real growth, because earlier if you see, why we are stressing about the data sources and about the data, because it is actually because of the issue when it was a older data as a base year, right. So 2011 and 12 as a base year, we got the inferences are wrong inferences. Okay. So the inferences is about that we got 7.4% as a growth have been predicted, but in the real terms the growth is about 7.6%. Okay, so the GDP is actually have a steady growth, but we are not able to understand it. And one more thing is there is a smaller, the economic size is smaller, but we have inferred that we have obtained the data that there will be a higher growth, because in economic growth we estimated for 11%, but the actual one was 10%. Okay, so there was a different downward also in the economy size. So that was the major issue. So understanding, getting the real data, okay, that will help us to concentrate more on the necessary needed area than the resources that have been diverted to a unnecessary particular sectors. Okay. So here we are able to see 3.3% smaller than what was predicted based on the old series, which is the economic size, Indian economy, okay, which was 3.3% lower than the actual thing, okay, lower than the expected, okay. So in 2023 and 24 it was expected 3.8 each. So this was expected and the outcome, the real outcome was 3.3%. Okay. So we are done with this, otherwise just go through it. It is a kind of a summary only what has been changed. The methodologies have been changed, okay, the improved data sources and the base year have been changed. These are the major things that have been discussed in this article. Okay, shall we move further? So this article, this is about the Israel, the US and a war to build a unipolar West Asia. So we will be seeing what is the actual thing, okay, because US, the Oman was mediating the talks between the US and also the Iran, right? In between of this, the war have happened. So we will be seeing what is the exact the reason behind it, and this have discussed like how Israel's idea about, okay, how Israel's idea to topple the government of Iran so that it will neutralize the West Asia and it will become unipolar. Unipolar here nothing but mostly the US dominant area, where Israel will be having a stagnant and a supportive partner, that is US, and they would be able to have the dominance in the West Asian area. So that is the major concern here. So the whole article is talked about like what is the first thing, okay, this here they have talked about the dialogues between US and Iran, okay, and here the initial stages of how important the war is, and also what was the initial stages like the nuclear, based on the nuclear program, what was the initial talks, okay. Then based after that we would be able to see here what is the geopolitics of Iran. So what Iran is doing and why Israel is very cautious about Iran, why it is a huge threat for Israel, okay. So and apart from that, how that West Asia have been neutralized and Iran is the only state where it is against Israel. So these have been discussed here, and the precipitation strategy, what was the strategy that has been taken by Israel, US and also the Iran. So this is the two different section that have been discussed, and the regional war is about how they strategize the things to bring it more of an internal disruption that will be topple the government eventually. Okay, so if there is any public uprising or if there is any other disturbances internally, that will be affecting what? The government. So the government will be toppled. The Israel's and US favorite government will be formed there. So eventually Iran also will be settling down to US and Israel's interest. So that is the major thing that have been discussed in this article. Okay, the opinions are personal, right? We will not be taking the complete idea of the author, but we are just going to see the context of the war. What is the strategic importance of Iran and why Israel is so curious about it? Okay, that is what we are going to see in this. So let's talk about the crux of it. Okay, so the crux is basically of war is not only about the Iran's nuclear weapons. So if the war is about only the nuclear weapons, because the dialogue was going between in between of the dialogue without getting any result, without obtaining any conclusion how the war can start. So it is showing that Iran's nuclear weapons is not at all a matter for Israel. It is beyond that, there is something. Okay. Then it is about the geopolitics and regional power balance, which we talked about. So the most of the West Asian countries have been a neutralized area where US is having a great dominance there, right? So Israel is also having the dominance. The regional power, only one person who is against the Israel's dominance is about Iran. So Iraq have also been dropped. Okay, there is a lot of neutralization have been happened, Libya, Syria, everything. Okay, so now the only power that was against Israel is whom? Iran. So right now they wanted to topple the government, and they have to bring the new government which will be favoring the US and Israel. So that was the major concern. Geopolitics. Here when it comes to the geopolitics, the missiles, the technologies they have, the geographical strategy they have, and also the strong military power they have, the threat from the Iran will be a huge for Israel. So that kind of geopolitics is major here. Okay? And the other thing is to weaken or change the Iranian regime that we talked. So we wanted to change. They wanted to take off the present government. They want to form a new government. Okay? So the fall of Iran will be making it as a unipolar West Asia, which is the US dominance. Okay? Then, so the author is saying that war is about mostly of power, okay, the deterrence and the regional dominance they have in that area. So if I have a lot of power, if I have a lot of the energies, okay, the other countries will be being in a good terms there, and I will be having the dominance. So the regional dominance that they are striving for, that is a major concern for this war. Okay, so this is quoted that this war is larger than the nuclear weapons, which is the most of the geopolitical tension and also the strategic regional dominance there. Okay. So when it comes to the nuclear deal, earlier in 2015, Iran and US had a talk, and they have promised to Barack Obama, then president of US, hereafter Iran will not be performing any nuclear weapons. They are going to prevent the nuclear weapons. They have promised. Okay, and this has been a tension for Israel, because this nuclear weapon does not included the missiles, the ballistic missiles and the different advanced missiles of Iran. So which is eventually giving the tension for Israel that their advanced missiles, the striking rate will be huge, and it will be a larger destruction for Israel. So that is the major thing, okay, that have been excluded the missiles. That brings the tension here. Now Israel is mostly focusing on toppling the government. Okay. Okay. We will be seeing one by one. Before that, I wanted to say, just go through this. This is a very good article. I read about it, and it is much broader perspective it has. So please learn about it. Okay. Have a go through. So first, Oman initiated the mediation, the talks between Iran and US, right? It was going, war is larger than the nuclear weapon. Yes, right. Okay. So eventually what happened, Iran reported it would not build a nuclear bomb ever. So they have already told that, but still the US and Iran started bombing and started the strikes also. So if we see this, it seems more of a desire for what? Regime change, and also to bring it as a unipolar West Asia. Okay. So by seeing this, we are able to understand what is unipolar West Asia. We have already discussed, right? The one dominant power controls a regional order, which the Israel is striving for. Then the geopolitics of Iran, if we see, okay, so here Iran regime, Iran remains the last major power which is challenging the Israel's dominance, right? So this is the major reason to topple Iran, okay. And if we kill the highest authority of the government or the state, what eventually it will be happening? It will be keeping the disturbances internally. people uprising will be there, they will be toppling the government, and our favorite or Israel and US motivated government will be settling down. So that was the first thing. And how they have neutralized other areas, how Iran was the only major power there because Iraq, Saddam Hussein have been toppled, right? Libya was toppled by military, and also Assad, Hamas, and normalize the ties between Arab states. Arab states mostly of US is being US bases are there in Arab states, okay, and there is lot of ties with United States. So Hamas, we know what is happening with Israel, right? So these are the areas where they have neutralized, and Iran was the only dominant there. What's my personal view? Personal view about, see, the personal view is not relevant to UPSC, but always have a neutralized view, okay, so that will be reflecting eventually in your paper also. If you have, if you are taking stand against against Iran or against Israel or US, it will be somewhere or the other showing your some kind of interest, okay. So please have a complete context idea about the war and whatever the event is, then go for a unbiased personal view. Okay, mine is about, see, we have a good technology ties with Israel also, defense technology, we have missile technology, we have, and Iran is very important for India for the strategic location of Iran, right? The Chabahar port and also the Strait of Hormuz. So everything is very important for India from the perspective of Iran also. So the neutralized place between Iran and Israel should be there. We cannot give up on both. We have to have a initiate a dialogue between them. Okay. So that is what my personal opinion is. More of a war, the understanding should be there. The human understanding should be there. That should be, that is my personal opinion. But this is not going to work in the paper. Okay. So more of concentrate on your own personal view and try to streamline into a more neutralized way, okay, not a biased one, okay. So the shift, they are expecting the shift in regional balance, but the problem here is Israel thought that there will be toppling of government, but there was no such activities. Now is Iran people also working with government, and they are uprising as a region, as a one nation, they are against this war, okay. So the regional balance is being a difficult problem for Israel, so which is eventually taking the help of whom? The US. So Israel as a one person, it cannot do the government toppling, right? So now it wants the help of whom? The US, a huge dominance, where the distribution of US bases is also there. So if there is any attack on Israel, US will come for the come to combat with Iran, right? So that is a major concern of Israel. Okay. Ma'am, our PM visited Israel one day before the election. Hussein, I would say you, like, instead of bringing the religion here, we have to think about the casualties both the sides. See, it is about the global politics, is about certain philosophies. First is the peace will be sorted by having a power. Okay, this is the first thing. Second thing, if I am not having the power, anybody can come and attack me. This is the first thing. Second thing, irrespective of the religion, everything is a humankind, right? So 2-year-old, 3-year-old, just born baby are dying in Israel also and Iran also. So the humankind is, like, the human beings are being affected majorly. That is one thing. And another thing is about, like, this war will not affect only those two countries, it will be affecting every other country that are being interrelated. So these are things majorly we have to focus on, okay. Yeah, except there is a hatred towards certain religion, certain community, that should not be prevailing anymore, but the mentality of the people should be changing, okay. If there is a war, do you think, like, US is unnecessarily doing this war? There is a huge business behind it, okay. So if if there is any war, that either US directly involving in that war, or if US indirectly giving fundings to those war or arms and ammunitions to those war, it is a huge business of US about its weapon. It gives the defense technology, it gives the weapons to the all over world and showcase how great my weapons are, and somebody is getting feeded by the money derived from those weapons, and some areas are politically motivated, some wars are politically motivated for their business. So it is about a huge thing. So here we have to understand that war is not only about a hatred towards something, it is about the dominance, power, and also showing the business, like I have a huge business. So that is a major thing about war. Okay. So the major concern that we have to focus on, if there is any war, two governments have to face each, right, and they have to attack only the military bases, not the civilian areas, right. But what is happening, they are striking down the civilian areas. That is a huge thing. Coming back, okay. So now Israel needs the help of whom? US, right. So Israel is having a shadow of US. So wherever there is an attack on US bases, it will be striking back by US, and we will be able to neutralize Iran also. That is the thought of Israel that have been discussed. So in what ways Israel consider Iran as a threat? First thing is about the population, the huge population, like around 90 million population is there. Okay? More, let me check the demography also. Okay, 90 million people in the Iran, right. So that is a huge population that is helping Iran. Okay, the youth and also the military power also, they have a huge one. Okay, advanced missile technologies, which is ballistic missiles they have, which is majorly Israel is considering, and also anti-Israel ideology is only prevalent only in the Iran area. Okay, other than everything has been neutralized. Then the strategic geography, which is about the mountains, the huge mountains that Iran is been surrounded by. So it is impossible for Israel to attack Iran very easily. Even US and Iran, they are going with the air strike and also drone attacks, because the fortified Iran with the greater mountains are not that easily to destruct. So these are a major thing, and guerrilla warfare also will be happening behind this, and the military power the Iran has. So this is a major threat that is felt by Israel from Iran side. Okay. So now we will be moving on to the strategic strikes. Okay. So what they have done, they have targeted strikes, because only the air defense and the drones can be possible in Iran. Okay, to create the internal collapse. The Strait of Hormuz have been closed right now. UAE have closed the Strait of Hormuz, because in the world's 1/3 of the oil supply is going on. The energy, the oil reserves are being in that area only. So if there is any hit in that area, it will be striking the oil prices globally like anything. It will be the craziest one that will be happening ever. Okay, so that is one, and also it is stated that the gorilla wins if he does not lose. So the strategy of Iran here is, okay, for Iran, winning this war is not at all a matter. Iran's only motive is to sustain this. Okay, so they have to survive this war. So if Iran have survived this war, the prolonged war, what is their strategy? If they taken care of that, if that is possible, then Iran will be having a better position, and Israel will be having a little threatened position there. Okay, so that is what the whole article is talking about. Just go through it, just read about it. It is a very good one. It have given a broad perspective also have been given. Okay, so here they have told that how the North and NATO have also worked in the grounds of Libya, and how certain anti-Israel or anti certain religion or any other opposition people have been, how they have neutralized. All these have been mentioned here. Okay, moving on. The next one is about the Supreme Court to look into feasibility of NAT for blood transfusion. So the thing is, we are able to see here. Okay, the article is about during the blood transfusion for the thalassemia disease. Okay, we were able to see the contaminated or the infected blood have been transmitted, and that caused HIV in small children. Okay. So the major concern is that, so the petitioner have approached the Supreme Court, and it have said that, see, we need a proper test, and also there should be some guidelines that have to be performed before transfusing the blood, so that the thalassemia patients and many other patients who wanted the blood, like dialysis patients also, all these patients will be getting a better blood transmission, and because of that their article 21 of right to life, right to health also will be improved. So this is a major concern about this. We will be seeing the causes. Okay. So in Madhya Pradesh there was 6 children. Okay. They were having a thalassemia disease. Okay. Thalassemia is nothing but the hemoglobin will not be enough. Okay. So it is kind of a anemia only. Okay. So here the thalassemia is like they will be having, their body cannot produce enough hemoglobin. Okay. So it is an inherited disease only. My body cannot produce enough hemoglobin, where my hemoglobin is important for what? My RBC will be having a protein, where that will be transferring the oxygen to other organs, from the lungs to the other organs, and it will be bringing back the carbon dioxide back to the lungs. So if I don't have enough blood, I'll get jaundice, there will be organ organ will be not functioning, right? So all these are a major thing. So for that, to combat that, they have to take blood every 2 to 4 weeks. There should be a blood transmission also. But in that case only, when transferring the when transfusioning the blood, we are able to understand that there was a HIV positive blood have been, the infected blood have been transmitted to these thalassemia patients. Not only in Madhya Pradesh, also in Jharkhand, 5 children. Earlier it was 2, and later on 3 have been added. So it was like 5 children got this thalassemia patient. More common in India. Yes, Avya. Okay. Avya, more common in India, and in worldwide, India is the first country, like the top country who has larger thalassemia patients. So that is one of a concerning thing. So we have to focus more on the public health. So public health comes under state list, but instead of taking them from the state list to concurrent list, the center can give more of a funds to state governments that will be having a federalism as well. Okay. So the concern is about this. This is why the Supreme Court have taken this case. Okay, and here they have discussed that NAT nothing but nucleic acid test. Okay, in the blood they will be checking if there is any viruses or not. If there is any virus, the virus gene, the DNA and RNA will be tested, where we would be able to see the impacts of those viruses. Okay, so the blood will be whichever the blood is being transformed or transfused to any other patients. Okay, they will be getting a quality blood transfusion instead of the effective blood. So here the discussion is going on whether the every state, every government hospitals can afford NAT, the nucleic acid test, and how so far how many government institutions are going for NAT, and what is the feasibility for other states. So this is the questions that have been exposed here. Okay. So if you see highly sensitive molecular technique NAT, that detects the genetic material for viruses such as HIV, hepatitis B and hepatitis C in the blood. So hepatitis B and hepatitis C is nothing but it's a lung infection only, where it will be affecting the blood flow. Okay, so it is majorly affecting the lungs, and it will be eventually leading to the organ disorder. Okay, so this is the major thing. So earlier, whenever there is a blood test, it will be ELISA, which is enzyme linked immunosorbent assay, which is a common test. Okay, but it will be checking only the antibodies rather than the huge viruses. Okay, so it cannot withstand with that this test cannot reflect or give the idea about what these HIV, hepatitis B, hepatitis C kind of a viruses. Okay, so that is not possible to obtain from this test. So they are opting for NAT, nucleic acid test, which will be giving more accurate and even earlier diagnosis of these viruses. Okay, so if we see, and they have stated this as a preventable tragedies, which is by using the nucleic acid test, we are able to understand before the blood transfers. Okay, we are able to understand whether there is a HIV, hepatitis B, C is being presented in that blood donor. If there is so, then we will be neglect that blood, right? So if it is not there, the quality blood will be transferred. So this process they have mentioned as a preventable tragedies. So the tragedies here is about the infected blood will be transferred and we will be having lot of casualties, right? So instead of that, if we are taking the NAT, it will become a preventable tragedies. We would be able to prevent a large number of casualties. So NAT test could detect the infections earlier. It will not take much time to identify. Okay? That is a major positive of NAT. So if we see here, right to safe blood transfusion was a fundamental part of the right to life under Article 21. Article 21 is right to life, where the dignified life should be there, the health care should be there, right? So under the health care, they have added this right to safe blood transfusion, which directly comes under Article 21. Okay? And also they have given the definition for thalassemia. Okay, and also they have given the idea about nucleic acid test, what it is. Okay, so this thalassemia is nothing but, okay, the inherited blood disorder which is caused by the body's inability to produce enough hemoglobin, the protein in red blood cells that transports oxygen from the lungs to the tissues and carbon dioxide back to the lungs. So that is what, when there is no enough hemoglobin in the body, it is being produced, that is termed as thalassemia. Okay. So India is the thalassemia's capital of the world. So this is a very huge concern where we have to focus more on public health care and also the government institutions of healthcare. Okay. So this is the background of it. So now if we see, okay, the treatment for thalassemia is 2 to 4 weeks. They have to transfuse the blood, right? And also NAT have been mentioned. You can read it from the article directly. Okay. So here now we are going to see NAT. Okay, these are the viruses that will be effectively understood by NAT very in an earlier stage. So it will not be like after a particular stage of transmission of these diseases will not be. There won't be any delayed diagnosis. Instead, we will be having an earlier diagnosis. That is the construction. Okay. Then NAT is better than the ELISA. How? It detects antibody. ELISA detects only the antibodies. The serious hazardous viruses cannot be detected from ELISA, but NAT do, because it has it detects the genetic material, which is DNA and RNA. Okay. So based on this, we would be able to get more accurate hazardous viruses. Okay. And may rise infection in earlier stage. So may miss, they cannot identify the infection in the earlier stage, which will be eventually showing a after the growth stage or a matured stage only we would be able to identify it. But with NAT we would be able to see it in a window period. Window period is nothing but the infection came into the body before it reacts in a huge volume. Okay, before that the time period where the antibody enters and also how it reacts. So this is called the window period. So before the window period we would be able to identify it, and it is costlier but it is more accurate, and NAT is more accurate. So that is why the Supreme Court is focusing on whether every state can be every state can afford it or not, and how many government institutions are going with NAT. So all these questions are put down, and they have been the petitioners have been advised to submit affidavit. Okay, so that they will be seeing further. So after the affidavit only we would be able to see what is the concern, like whether it is compulsory for every government institutions to go with this NAT. Okay. So LSR is cheaper, so this is the comparison between them. So if we see what is the relevant to Article 21, it is right to life, right, which is having the health, medical care, safe environment and dignified life. So the health and medical care comes under the right to life. So that is how it is said that Article 21, the right to safe blood transfusion is a fundamental part of Article 21, which comes under the health and medical care. Okay. So what is the court have been said so far? So court is testing that whether NAT should made compulsory for everywhere, and also what is the affordability, every state can afford it or not, and how much the financial things versus public health safety. So the financial constraint, just because I don't have money, I cannot give up on my child health or my health when it comes to the financial constraint. So we have to make it affordable, and we have to see how far it is feasible for every corner of the India to accept it. Okay? And NAT and public institutions, how many public institutions, how many government hospitals are taking care of this NAT? Okay? How many them are performing it? So that is what the whole article is about. So here we have to focus on NAT and also the thalassemia. So these two are the things majorly we have to focus here for GS2 paper and GS3 paper. In ethics paper also you can expect how government plays a role, the role of government in this public healthcare, society, essay also we can understand, because a lot of healthcare problems are coming, right? And also it is related with the what public institutions where the governance and the policy gaps are being addressed. So we may have a indirect question, the interrelated question of GS2 and GS3 in the essay papers and ethics papers. So keep that in mind. And that's it for the day. If you have any doubt, please let me know. Otherwise, we'll be winding up for the day. Okay. If there is any doubt, hope everything is clear today, right? There will be class tomorrow. No, Avya, tomorrow it is off. You guys will be celebrating Holi, right? We'll also be. So, happy Holi to everyone. Play safely, okay, and be happy. Let this vibrant colors bring out a new spring and a new opportunities to your life. The bright colors, and also there will be a huge and a bright opportunities for everybody. Okay, all the very best, and see you all later. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for joining this session.